Hey everyone. Okay, so where did we leave off? We need to pull in our data into here. A couple of things. I actually ended the other video and came back to this one. There was a few things that I noticed. Let's see if we let me see if this will work. So I created this two separate methods. I don't know if that was on this call or if I just kind of did it, but what we need to do is bring our data back, right? So we have a massive amount of data. So let's just get started with that. So with open, yep, that works for me. And actually all that kind of worked for me. So I'd like for you to have that back. And then we just need to return that. That's fine. That should work, but it's not called data. It's called details, right? Yeah, this is details. So we can call this one details. And it's actually in a root called data. Okay, so that should work. And we're going to grab it and put it here. And this one's actually called metric values. Whoops, not metrics. Metric values. And this one's actually called details. Actually, details and metrics is better, but we've already named that file. So let's just do that. And let's test this. The problem is this is a bulk amount of data. I don't know if this will work or not. Let's try it. Okay, so we're going to step into it. We're going to open that file. Yeah, so we got an error, no such. Oh, okay, no biggie. We'll fix that. Crap. Oh, there's an S there. Duh. All right, leave it to me to do something stupid. Now let's try it again. I don't know if I need that /. I'm not thinking. I'm really tired. Fighting a cold. It's kind of personal and you don't care. But that's going to error out. So there's no such file directory. So let's get rid of this. And that should take us where we need to be. And let's try it one last time. This is the enjoyment of you watching me code because I make mistakes, unlike people who go through here and do all this extremely perfect. I am not perfect. Okay, so do we have data? Ah ha ha, we do. How awesome is that? So now we have metrics data. Okay, so if we have metrics data, let's go say, why don't we just continue and see what we have. Let's step in. Yep, bucket name, date and time. So this is going to create the bucket. Let's see if that happens. I want it to be named Tim Data Lake. We're going to walk through this and see if we have a problem with it. Okay, and then that should have created, I got the next part commented out on purpose. So if we refresh this and we just do a Tim, oh, there it is right on top. Oh, how sweet is that? Okay, cool. So that kind of worked. I'll get rid of my buddy Justin for a second. So the next part is we need to send it to a large. Now what we're going to do, this is not the best way to do this. I'm going to call this twice. And the truth is what I would normally do is just make this more dynamic where I wouldn't call it twice. We'll do this one called values equals get metric values. And that just needs to match this up here. What I'm getting at is you could stick this in a class and not be repetitive. And you just pass in the file name and return. You know what? Why don't we do that? Because I really don't like being repetitive. So we'll say diff get, sorry, the microphone's between me and the keyboard, so I hear that quite a lot. Get data, oops, from, it's not an API, but it's trying to tell me, hey, there's an API here, and we're going to call it file path, and we'll just pass on the whole path. And from here, we're just going to copy this. And what we'll do is we'll call this. Okay, that way we don't have redundancy, at least in that area. So let me grab these two so I know what the values are. And we'll go down to here because I'm going to delete those. Okay, and we'll just call this data. The first one is this. Okay, and the second one's going to be this. Okay, now let's get rid of these. Okay, and then from there, well, let's call it metrics data, right? We just call it the same thing. There we go. Well, we're still calling this twice. Okay, so I'm not going to refactor this. The truth is I can stick this into a method and call this as well. And I'm probably going to do that just because that's who I am. So it bugs me when things are not refactored correctly. So let's go ahead and get rid of this. And let's grab this and we'll go down here and we'll split that there. We'll split that there. And what we're going to do is probably move this to another diff. So we'll say diff save to S3. We'll just do that. I'm not sure if it's smart enough to do that. We'll just call this data. Whoops. Data. Okay. This doesn't need to be in there though, does it? So we're going to take that out. We're going to move this down here. That's fine. That doesn't care if the data is there or not. That's all. It's just a valid check, right? So now what we've got to do is go up here and grab this. So that's create bucket, save S3. Yeah, because we have to change this format to pass it to there. Yeah, I guess that's fine. Okay, we'll do that in a minute. So what we want here though is S3. I'm sorry, save to S3, and that's fine. So let's see. So here we're passing in our bucket name. Shouldn't be bucket name though. It should be our key. Let's go look at that real quick. Go to implementation, bucket name. Where are we using this bucket name? Where not are we? Current time. Oh, we need it right here. S3 bucket name. So let's just do that. Okay, because that's what this is. Okay, so we have our data, we have our S3, we have our S3 bucket name, and we have our S3 key, which is really just built off the time. But we're going to do something here and just say name. Because this name, let's put this right here. Whoops. Name, okay. And then what that is going to do is give us our current date and time. Don't care about that. And then we're going to create a key. Really, it's just the name of the folder, right? So it's going to be bronze and then this. Let's see. Because we're saving it there. And it's this S3 down here. So here we pass in the name. We need to say if it's metrics, pass that. And on the values, we'll call this again. And we'll pass the values here. We don't need that anymore. We don't need that anymore. Where is S3 bucket name created? Oh, that's there. I don't think we're using that. I don't think I need that. But I might. That's the problem. Okay, so we're going to have to look, see what this does. Let's just do one at a time for now. Oh, we didn't even write that out yet, did we? So, crap. Let's write that out. Because it's actually this is what we care about. Okay, so here, send large data. We have our data. No, it's curlied because we haven't built this yet. So let's create this. Get rid of these check marks because that kind of worked. Ah, stop. Thank you. Now this is what we need to build up. Okay, so let's do our sissy. Try, and we'll take that, and we'll take all that. Okay, cool. So, holy smokes, Batman. I got about 15 minutes, so let's see how much we can get done in 15 minutes. Give me a second to think this one out. First of all, we need to get our JSON, right? And that's going to be our data. So we've got a date. Let's go and pass in our parameters because we need data S3. All right, so we'll just grab that because we know we're taking all that, even if we don't use it. Seriously, I don't want that yet. So here, now that's the default one, but we're not using it. We're going to loop through this and send a lot at a time. So let's do JSON data. I don't know if this will work. Let's try this out. JSON.loads. This should already be a JSON, but we're just going to make sure. And we're going to double check it, right? So if instance, so we're going to check the instance to see if it's bytes. Let's see, I'm sorry, JSON data. I don't want it string. I want to make sure it's not bytes. Okay, because sometimes when you call back to an API, sometimes it ends up being bytes. So we've got a space here at the intro. Let's get rid of that real quick. Basically, our code is not lined up correctly. A lot of it's because of the whole tabbing thing. So if instance is bytes, and it's not, it actually wouldn't be JSON data here. It's going to be here. Okay. If the data is bytes, then let's do this because I want all this to be consistent. Let's say that, and that. Okay. Now, and then here. Okay, so we're going to load it. If instance is bytes, then it's going to convert it, and then it's going to bring us back to here. Okay. So S3, this is an S3 client equals S3. Okay, you'll see why I'm doing that here in a few minutes. And then JSON bytes. It's dying to do that S3 client for me, isn't it? But I'm not there yet. So JSON dumps, JSON data encode. Yep, okay. So we're not going to do a multiple part. So let's split this. Oh, good grief, it still wants to do that. I'm not ready for it yet. Actually, I am. Wow, holy smokes, Batman, that did work. So we're going to do an S3 client. One of the reasons I did it this way, number one, it's just easier to read, but there is a create multiple part upload. So that way, what we're doing is we're going to split our data into bytes, and we're going to send up a certain amount at a time. And that's why we're doing the large data. Sorry, I'm trying to do this off of memory, and my tooltips is kind of throwing me off. But so now we need to split it. So size, that's pretty good. What does that give us? So this is going to give us 5 megabytes in chunks, right? So let's put that here. 5 megabyte chunks. Okay. I don't think I need to do math. I think we're okay there. Let's go ahead and just put this as a holder here, a placeholder. And then we need to, we'll say num equals 1. Now for oops, it's supposed to be 4. And this is really going to go crazy on our tooltips. Is that what I need? Yeah. Okay, cool. That actually is what I need. So I in range, start with 0, do the length to the bytes, and we'll go pass in the part size. Okay. And now let's just call this chunk because it makes sense, right? It's a chunk of data. JSON bytes. That's one of the reasons I wanted to name the JSON data and the JSON bytes. Here and here because we're splitting the name, right? So here, yeah, okay. So that's taking chunks of data. That's cool. And then what we're going to do is we're going to upload part. That's fine. So we're creating a variable equals. Now this may be what we need. So let's look at it. So upload part, and then we're going to upload part from that. We got the bucket name, the key, upload ID. Yeah, okay, cool. And then the body chunk. Okay, sweet. Now, for the next part, we need to do append number two. I don't think that's right. Let me see. Parts append. EGT tag part number num. Ah, come on, I wanted that. Let's see, parts append. Okay. Now what's going on here? Are we missing something? Why is that red? So, oh, parts right here, that's why. Okay, so parts append. So what we're doing is just appending this. We're going to loop through this, and we're going to upload chunks of this data at a time, 5 megabytes, into our S3 bucket. Okay, and that looks right. So if you don't know how to do this, Google this right here, upload part, S3 client upload. Well, it's going to be S3, right? But Google that. So let's do S3, Control V, and let's see if I'm missing anything. Okay, so this is where I found that. Okay, so here's your options, right? That's cool. And this is the response. So this is the tag. Now, I read through this. I recommend reading this. This is a very good read. But what we're doing is we're trying to break it down and sending bits of the data at a time and starting all 30,000, right? Okay, so what's left? Oh, well, we got to loop it. Duh. Okay, so right here. Yep, that's fine. And then, so now there's one more piece we got to do. Not that. It might be that, but that's, I want to do it myself. Let's see. So S3 client right here. Now let's see. Complete multi-part upload. S3 bucket and parts. Okay. So yeah, that should be right. One thing I don't like, this is really hard to read. So let's see if we can just do it this way. Part number. Upload ID, and then down here, key, multi-parts, and that's our parts upload. Okay. Oh, that's fine. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay. And I think that's all we need to do. So I'm kind of scared to run this, but let's try it. Why not? All right, so the bucket thing, it doesn't matter if it calls it again. If it's already there, it would just ignore it. If not, it will create it. We do have our values. I think I'm going to comment this one out just for now. The validation part. This is going to go to here, creates a date and time for us. Yeah, I guess that's fine. Okay. Now let's go to here. Let's pass that to here, and that gives us JSON data, our S3 object, our bucket name, which I don't think we're using, and our S3 key. That's not right, is it? This should be a name. Ugh, that should be here. Sorry. So here should be a name, and this is going to be metrics or values, right? So let's go into here, refactor, go to, I'm getting tired, sorry. Go to, what am I doing? Oh, that's refactor, I'm sorry. Go to implementation here, so here's name. Bronze. Okay, let me look at this for a second because we may already be doing it. Bucket name. Does the no, so that's the bucket name. Okay, everybody, so I had to take a quick break, or actually a long break, but let's look at this real quick. So we're saving, we're passing in a name. I did find my issue, not a big deal. We were we just needed to add one more value for here. And this should work. So let's run it and see what happens. Okay, if you remember, I was passing in too many values. So what happened was I was passing data here and there. And of course that didn't work. So let's jump over that, jump over that. We've got our bucket. We're going to create the bucket if it doesn't exist. We're going to step into this one, and you'll kind of see how this works, which is kind of cool. So I'll put this as time. I probably should go back and either put the folder as the date, because this time really doesn't do me any good if I don't have the date. But we'll do that in part of a cleanup, right? So let's go ahead and step in. And now for the large. So here you'll understand what I was trying to do. So we're getting our data. We're creating our reference to our S3 that we passed in, right? Let's just get some real estate here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to get our JSON, which is here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to split this to multiple parts down to 5 chunks. We're going to stick it in here. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to loop through this section, passing about 5 megabytes at a time. Okay. So I'm only going to loop through it like once or twice so you can see it happen. And then I'm going to just step over it. Okay. So we got this. Let's go ahead and step into here. We got our chunks, and this is going to upload part of the data as chunks. Give it a few seconds to make that happen. And now it's going to append. So we know where we are at, right? So let's keep going. Okay. I notice it keeps breaking these apart. It doesn't get down here until it's done. So let's go ahead and do that. But what I'll do is I'll go ahead and jump to that now. Okay. So our number's up to 3. So we had 3 iterations. And now what we're going to do is upload the multiple parts here. Okay. Notice the tag IDs. So let's go ahead. And there we go. So now let's go see if that worked. Now, again, I know I didn't give you detail on how that works. But in that case, you know, just go look at it. Just Google that, like I showed you, and you'll see details. So we've got our buckets. We're in our TIM data lake. So I'm going to hit refresh. We now have our bronze, which is cool because we passed that in. And now we have our metrics. Now, if I just download this, so let's go ahead and download. And that should be our 30,000 rows of data. So now let's do the values real quick. And that shouldn't take but a few seconds because that's really just copy and paste of this. So we're going to grab this. We're going to drop it right here. And we're going to call this metric values instead of data values. And then what we're going to do, oh, you know, I'm sorry. We just grab it from here. I was wrong. I do like the name metric though, because it is metric. Let's put that back. And let's just rename it right here. Okay, and this if is out too far, so we just need to bring it in a little bit so it matches that. You know how Python works. And what I want to do here is we're just going to call this one values. Values is a tricky word. Sometimes it's a keyword, but so is metrics. So let's see what happens. It's going to pin the timestamp on it, so that's fine. But I expect everything to happen. And when we're done, we're going to hit done. So I'm just going to kind of just debug through this one really fast. So let's go ahead and just do all this. The biggest thing I want to show you here was how to do this large data into S3, right? And this is very fast if you think about it because we're breaking it up into chunks. Let's go to our console in case we hit a boo-boo. And then it should say done when it's done. So there we go. So now we're done. So that really didn't take that long. Maybe I should put some measurements in there to do some timestamps, but that's okay. Who cares at this point, right? So let's go ahead and do this and hit refresh. And now we have our metrics and our values.